Well then, the team standings close as ever. A very good evening and welcome to AEC Tier S, where the Drivers' Championship is on the line tonight. But as a team tournament, this is very much one to watch. Nexus Racing leading the way then by 29 points, just a slim 4-point advantage last time out after the main event at Monza. But of course, that sprint race result being a 1-2 helped them out a lot as well. Paradox Sim Racing in second, and if they do go on to maybe turn the tide and win this championship, they can look back on those races in Austria and Hungary where they came 3-4 to a 1-2, the point where they really were able to limit the damage and their overall deficit to NRX. Bunga Racing Team still going strong in third, a third place finish last time out for Joe Murphy, being his third of the season. Visceral Racing still doing everything in their power to try and close them down. Huge haul for Team Valor, who are finally on the up. 34 points scored in Monza, and it looks like they're broken away from the fight below them of FRT, Summit League Racing Team. A single point for FGE scored by Stabby, Total Impact Racing, and then Team Shizou. 1 point away from ninth, but I think they're without a driver this evening.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome, Tom. Welcome.
Hello, I'm here. Yes, light streams just playing. I will get driver standings on in a sec. I hope everyone's okay. Literally, I've been subbed in. What was it, Joseph? About 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, about 20 minutes ago. Loveland pulled Zami in the warm up. Pulled Zami in the warm up, and I'm here. Late replacement. I was meant to be on placement, literally, but it's Easter holiday, so I'm not. You've got me, lads. You've got me. Joseph will lead us away. I'm just here as background music, to be honest with you. Pretty much just background music. But yeah, people are starting to ready up. We'll get driver standards on in a second. What is your prediction for the race, Joseph? Take us away with it.
Ooh, prediction. Obviously, we've got an 18-minute qualifying session first, and having been here at the same track a few nights ago in the top tier championship, it was a pole position for Rusty. I know his teammate likes to go well here as well in Sindri, so that should be a very exciting partnership. Though it looks like overcast rather than wet. And of course, the Drivers' Championship on screen right now. Rusty on the final lap at Monza saw the chance of winning it in front of the Tifosi diminish in a flash. However, is very, very unlikely that he will not win it today. I know there was sort of a double negative in there, but that more makes sense in my head. Overall prediction, though, I think this is going to be really tight, especially with that run up to turn one. I saw someone say it was a TikTok quality what we saw the last time I was here on Monday. So if we read anything into that, it could be chaotic.
Yeah, I'm just going to get the graphic up that everyone should be able to see in a second. It'll be able to say the different ways of how Rusty can win it. If you bear with me 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. I should upload it now, as drivers are starting to filter out on track. There we go, upload that, and it should be on. There's a lot of different possibilities here, Joseph. I don't really know them all, but there they are. They're on screen now, hopefully. If everyone can see them. I believe they can. I hope they can. No, that's just a picture of the track. Is that on your screen, Joseph, or was that just me?
Yes, yeah, just in case I don't know where they're going. It might be a help to the drivers to see that, but hopefully they don't.
Give me a second, lads. I'm trying to work this out. It's all new to me. But no, you've not missed anything yet, lads. You've just got a big track of, I believe that is, I believe that was the correct track.
It's a very stretched COTA. I mean, the main
it is a bit stretched.
The main straight looks longer than the back straight.
Yeah, It was a second. You've not missed anything. Like this is just Tom Nepp and his light stream just playing games with him. So yes, we've got a lot of drivers on track. All of them very, very speedy drivers. It is a bit overcast. Let's see how this plays out. I will get that off the screen, lads. I'm just literally resetting it. Bear with me. Has anyone said anything? Yes, Moo said anything. Love that. Moo.
Moo and Loveland. Loveland, absolute traitor. No, I'm
Someone's going to
joking.
come in here going, oh my god, it's tier S, and they've just got a big stretched...
This is peak
This is
content.
content. I'm doing it. I'll try.
Don't
I'll
worry,
try my best, lads.
I was streaming Fortnite to 3 people earlier, so
Where ya?
yeah.
Right, I
But
think
we got
I've
a
done it.
victory royale.
I believe I've done
Shout out to Cobb and Kirby for that one, and shout out yesterday for another victory royale.
it. Right, I think I've done it.
With
I think I've done it.
Smokey.
Everyone can stop
And
laughing at me now.
There we go. There
Ah!
we go. Enough
Stress!
of the
Right, I'll
victory
shut up now.
royale.
Joseph Toker's away. I'm literally sweating. I was stressing.
Don't stress. It is time to take over and talk about qualifying. And of course, Slipstream's already in effect. And who else would it be? Then Rusty and Sindri giving him a helping hand right to the end of the straight darts out the way last minute, as you would expect at the end of the 1.1 kilometre long straight heavy braking zone. Plenty of overtaking there this evening, and making his way through now into turn 15. And next up is a triple right-hander, deliberately based off of Turkey turn 8. They just decided to invert it. It's copying their homework, but just changing it a little bit so it doesn't look like complete plagiarism. Into the penultimate corner of turn 19, and Rusty will kick us off here. The championship leader setting the benchmark of a 1 minute 32.281, and we await for the likes of Joe Murphy, who's also had a nicely executed toe by the back straight. I believe that's Carsey making his season debut tonight. Oh, I might have needed to do a little bit more research into that one, but the Northern Irishman ready to try and help Joe Murphy out for that slim possibility that he could win this evening.
Yeah, I think Kazi has done 1 or 2 races before, but yes, Mr. Joe Murphy with a new gamer tag. Mr. JT has spotted that. He has got a new gamer tag there. I don't know why, but yeah, he's just added a few numbers in there. Maybe, you know, he just didn't like the old one. But anyway, he's going to come across the line now. Allison goes P2. Is Murphy going to jump him? He is going to jump him. He goes into P2 with 32.5, splitting Rusty and Allison.
Absolutely, and Chazou Hilton, I believe he's French, rounded the final corner up into P7 with a 33-1 for the team bottom of the championship. We've got 2 home heroes this evening. Skinner in the McLaren for Paradox Sim Racing, and FRT Raptor for Ferrari, and of course Future Racing Team. So watching one of them down that back straight and heading in towards turn number 12. No slipstream on this occasion, but the banker, I'm sure, will be enough to satisfy him early on here. I'm hearing it's 4 a.m. for SLR Oz, and I believe that's a contraction of Australia. And if it is, again, I'm seriously impressed by the commitment there. And Sindri, P2, 3/1000ths of a second behind his teammate NRX Rusty. Still watching Skither here into turn 19. He's now invalidated at a snap for good measure. And that could have been session over around the final corner anyway. We'll see what his lap would have been, a 32.291. That would have put him 100th behind Rusty. But bar that mistake, might have been good enough for provisional pole. Still want to watch it.
It's very close to the top there, as you can see. Rusty and Sintry separated by absolutely no time at all. I'm on board with Mr. Carsey here for the Bonga Racing Team. Currently sat P4 with Mr. Joe Murphy. So Carsey into sector 3 he goes here. He's on a hot lap. There's a few drivers not set times. He is one of them. He goes a little bit wide there. It's going to cost him a little bit of time there. Did very well not to invalidate. But let's see where he put himself. He has lost a bit of time in sector 3. It'll be good to see his delta difference. But goes P9. Definitely a little bit more time in that lap though.
Absolutely. Who else have we still got to come? FRT Raptor was pulled back into the pit lane, so strange to do an outlap and head on back in, unless there's a qualifying ban I've not yet been made aware of, though I am hearing from our good friend Oliver Crisp that there is going to be some rain at the end of the race. So, how does that impact setups? Are there going to be a few qualifying tweaks just to comply with Parc Ferme and then gamble on that being the quickest way to go at the end of the race where all the points are scored?
There was when I used to do league racing back in the day, there was a guy called AMS Luke, and every time it was either going to be rain or dry and it was a mixed session, he'd always put a mixed setup on. No one ever knew what he was doing, but he always said he was just putting a mixed setup on. Whatever that meant, I think he was just flagging. I'm bored with Mr. Stabby Boy. He had a good toe there off Mr. Patrick, and Stabby's going to come to the line now. Had a really good race last week. Everyone was really happy with his performance, and he goes P14, 33.6.
Yeah, absolutely. He was unafraid. I think that's the word we're going to use. He said it was one of the biggest races he's ever done, and he was pulling off overtakes. He was giving the drivers a really good, clean battle for FGE, and I think he's been well rewarded with another start tonight. It's like in football, if you come off the subs bench, grab yourself a brace, win the game, in FGE's terms, score a very valuable point, then you deserve to start the next game, and that's what he's done here, Stabby Boy. And welcome back, of course, to Patrick Leger, who I believe was meant to be teaming up with him last week, but fell slightly unwell before the race. So it's good that he's back and has made a recovery to be here for this one. Rusty, this might be an outlap. I believe it might have glitched in the meantime, but he's looking to build on that 32.281 PSR. Wilson on an outlap as well. Driver I didn't really mention up there in P3, still half a tenth off the pace at the moment. And then, of course, Joe Murphy has to finish in front of Rusty tonight, in any way. If he loses, the championship's over, because points difference 81, that is just not going to overturn itself.
Yeah, Rusty now on his hot lapper. As Rusty entered Sector 3, Mr. Sindri started to come out as well. So you can see what's going to happen there. Sindri on his outlap is going to help Rusty down the back straight. And Rusty through the SD goes here. Absolutely nailed left, right. Mr. Rusty trying to improve his 32.2. Can he do it? Well, if you look at Delta time after Sector 1, he's over 1.5 tenths time. You see Mr. Sindri in the distance there, coming to the braking zone. Rusty sees him as well. And Rusty now going to be entering the backstroke with a lovely toe by Mr. Sindri. It's going to gain him probably a tenth, maybe even longer. But Sindri a little bit slow to get going here, but Rusty right behind him. Lovely slipstream this, Mr. Joseph.
Here we go there. Just how late will he dart out the way, making the most of all of the available straight. Bit bumpy on that outside curb, using the sausage curb on the inside, avoiding those on the outside, flicking it in now to turn 13. 14 comes up immediately. Here's turn 15 and 16, and a nice wide entrance, short shifting into fourth gear. Car nice and straight, little bit of wheel spin. Set himself up, avoiding the stoppers, as they're known as, after that 2017 rendition of the US Grand Prix, into turn 19, attacking the curb on the inside. A little bit cautious on the exit, but rightly so, because this is going to be an improvement, and it is by 0.4 of a second. 131.890.
Cool, blimey. I think there was a bit of teamwork going on at PSR as well. Mr. Wilson looks like he's had a bit of a toe off Skinner there, and Mr. Wilson sat in P3. He needs to find 0.5 of a second really now if he's to get near Rusty's time and get himself on the front row. He don't need to find a tenth of the time to overtake Sindri, who is now just behind Rusty, and they're going to be starting on laps. You can have Rusty giving a toe to Sindri, bit of payback and teamwork going on at NRX, but Wilson, DRS wide open to the line, goes P2 with a 32 flat.
Yeah, good effort from him. Sindri also 400ths up in the first sector. Joe Murphy invalid on this one. VSR Edgar, apparently there was a block in there somewhere. Crosses the line. Ogween up in fifth for TV8. He secured pole position on Tuesday night in the WOR Legacy Division. Another one of rival no assist tournaments. No, I'm joking. There's no rivalry at all. People like to think there is, but we like all tournaments. because I'm forced to commentate most of them. That aside, who are we going to have next up? Skither making his way down now. No Delta that we can look at, but if I recall correctly, he was on a 32 2 as well, I think, slotting in 100th of a second behind Sindri. A slipstream down that back straight. Sindri into the penultimate corner as we speak, and now a final corner as well. And again, using that camber on the inside to rotate the car, and likewise to his teammate Rusty, an improvement, but at this stage, a couple of tenths off, unlike that first run.
It looks like teamwork is really helping. You see the Ferraris there of Raptor and Rain also doing it on the back straight. You can see everyone's together, really. You've got the AlphaTauris of Egger and Bowman, but Mr. Skinner now comes round the sweeping right-hander. 2 corners to go for him. Can he improve? Can he set a time? In fact, his teammate currently sat P3. You've got the NRX boys 1 and 2, but Skinner round the final turn now. DRS wide open for him. Comes to the line. He goes P4, joins his teammate on the second row.
Reminds me of that mid-season phase where it was NRX followed by PSR. Now, at this stage in the season, perhaps less ideal than what it was back then. Carsey, 8 seconds down, not on a lap at this point. Raptor did get one in, 33.259. It's looking very tight at the bottom. A good 2.5 seconds off the pace here. SLR Oz and Find Waldo, 18th and 19th place drivers, separated by 1,000th of a second here. We've lost Sasha. I'll send him an invite back to the session.
So Rusty back in the pit. Sindri's going to be on an in-lap now. He's going to be coming back in. There's a couple of drivers still out there. Mr. Egger also now on an in-lap. I think one of them, yeah, Mr. Skinner's also on an in-lap. So I think that is everyone's second run done now, to be honest. Maybe Carsey is just starting. Well, yeah, Carsey. He's just starting a lap. Currently sat in P11 with 32.9. Needs to find over a second to catch up to Rusty time. And he nails it, does Mr. Carsey. He's been known for being an assist user back in the day, but look at him now go in TRS. He's a 10th up after Sector 1. His teammate currently sat in P6 with a 32.5. So maybe if he finds a little bit improvement in Sector 2 and Sector 3, might be able. He doesn't have that Todo, Joseph.
He doesn't indeed. But still, sometimes nice to have that clear track in front of you. No distractions heading on into turn 12, where the later you brake could be a significant difference in his lap time. Just how late will he brake? Just after the 100-meter board. Third gear for the rotation, using a little bit of that exit curb. We saw Rusty completely avoid it as a reference for the man on provisional pole at the moment. And Carsey, well, we've seen one Northern Irishman sacked this week, but there is one racing tonight doing his country a bit less, a lot more proud than what Brendan Rodgers did. I had to get the reference in at some point. I'm so sorry. But into the final corner now. And Carsey, can he elevate himself from P11 and get himself into the top 10? Yes, he can. And conveniently, right at the bottom of that top 10.
Yeah, let's improve the one position. Then Mr. Bowman now relegated to P11. No one on a hot lap right now, but we do have drivers out on laps. Mr. Oz is probably, sleepwalking's a thing, but it might be sleep driving. Apparently it's 4 a.m. where he is now, so fair play to him. Bit of a commitment levels there. So Wilson out on track. I assume he might be waiting for a tow off Skinner, who will probably come out the pits when he enters Sector 3. Mr. Rusty also now out, and I'm sure if you watch this, Joseph, you'll see Rusty now start to come around the final 3 corners, and can you see who is starting to come out the pits? It is Mr. NRX Sindri.
Yep, practiced over and over and over again in short qualifying sessions. They're so used to it by now, and I think every track you need to have a slipstream plan in place, because, well, if you don't, if you're a singular driver tonight, like what Ilton is at Shazoo, and fair play to him, he's 9th at the moment without any sort of slipstream. Sindri is being a great team player for his teammate, who can win the Drivers' Championship tonight, but overall for the team that are leading the Teams' Championship. So it's not all just about Rusty this evening, as much as that graphic depicted a little earlier on, as the Red Bull getting out of the way. No hold-ups there from either one of Stabby or Patrick Leger. Always very punctual into the lobbies and always very considerate on the racetrack. Here goes Rusty then. DRS wide open, slipstream in effect. Sindri punching the hole in the air. And The F1 physics doing its thing. Just hitting 200 miles an hour there at the end of the straight. Riders will be running medium to high downforce, particularly in preparation for that wet period that we assume will be at the end of the Grand Prix. Again, another wide entrance through turn number 15. And now into 16, 17 and 18. I don't know why they just didn't make it all one corner, to be honest. Ultimate corner now. Sixth gear through there at the apex. Down to third. Riding up right up against that sausage curb, but it never really looked like a quicker lap for NRX Rusty. He's still out there and ready to give Sindri the tow.
Mr. Wilson on a quick lap here. Mr. Skinner giving him a lovely tow, and then there was a Ferraris behind him also giving tows. So really teamwork going on at the top of the field here. So Mr. Skinner now on his way to the final corner. Can he improve on his time of a 32.1? You'd think he will do. DRS wide open to the line now and goes P2 with 31.9. So Rusty's time still out clear at the moment, but people are starting to close the gap between him and the field.
30 seconds to go then. Final laps for those that are completing or have already completed, such as Rusty will pit at the end of this lap, just out there still to give Sindri the tow. Joe Murphy on a push lap at the moment, and into turn 19 he goes, fifth gear through there, late shift up to P6, so the difference in styles evidence here. Deploy used, so his acceleration will be a little slower to the line, but he goes fourth. Joe Murphy still in the fight with a very good lap time, summing up his season so far. Sindri 3/100ths of a second up, a few more might see him go up ahead of Wilson and restore the NRX front row. Watchtower on the right hand side, accommodating up to 9,000 fans at a height of 77 metres, and what a sight they've got. He's invalid, his NRX Sindri, that's popped up late for me. His lap time red, invalid, it will not count on this occasion. Skither 4/100ths of a second up, and likewise looking to make that small improvement that will see him up a couple of positions. Allison jumping up his teammate up into P8, and I believe we've got Ogween heading back into the pit lane. Of course, those drivers syncing up to perform a slipstream. SLR Nico round to the final corner. He stays 15th. Shizu Ilton crosses the line, stays 10th, and very few improvements at the death here, unless Skither can put an end to that, which he does. Goes up onto the front row, and the man 7 points behind the next car in the Drivers' Championship, who isn't here, of course, this evening in Levi. Might see that as a very good target, qualifying within 4/100ths of a second of NRX Rusty.
Good qualifying there, yeah, Mr. Rusty. I think that was it his first time or was it his second time that he did that 31.9? That's still very quick. Obviously, no one could get there in the end, but yeah, you've got PSR. It's a bit of a tail of a tape, really, isn't it? NRX PSR on the front rows and right at the top end, as per the season has gone. But yeah, Rusty on pole. How many poles has he had now? There's a request of fact for you.
Oh, I'll tell you what, I don't know. I'll be honest and say
I don't know.
I've not
know,
kept count, because the other tournaments certainly influencing the statistics for what I keep track of. But yeah, if somebody has an idea, maybe Loveland or someone of the sort, this is his latest pole position with Skither and Wilson second and third. I like it when the championship protagonists are amongst each other rather than that sounds weird, doesn't it? Rather than 2 by 2, because we'll see Sindri try something crafty into the first corner, and likewise Skither trying to make a little bit of room for Wilson. There are endless amounts of possibilities as they climb the hill. But looking further down the order, SLR Oz, indeed of Australia, might have wished he stayed in bed.
Maybe he is. Maybe he still is in bed.
Maybe. Is he pad or wheel? Does anybody know? Because if he's on pads, it's very much possible that he's nice and comfy at the moment.
So people will ready up in the next couple of minutes. Not obviously don't ready up straight away. If anyone does ready up straight away, make sure you clip it and all that. Shut Medal says he is wheel. He is wheel. So there you go. So click on race director. Yeah. Sorry, Joseph. Just so everyone can see the tyres that everyone's choosing. There you go. Take us away.
Yeah, and we should see the hards in use as the drivers change over now. As you can see on the live stream, it's not working for me at this stage. There we go. Will somebody try and extend a set of mediums maybe and prioritize track position? It just depends how late this rain is coming. At the moment, the sky's very, very blue, so that's an indication that this might be very, very late, if no rain at all. So we'll see how that one goes. And I think we'll see everybody on the hards here. I don't think anybody will try that different strategy. But Rusty on pole position then. That's a point to his name. And, well, even if he didn't finish in the points, Joe Murphy would still need 5th and the fastest lap point here this evening. So it's very, very, very likely that we'll have a champion crowned by the end of this one.
It is interesting to see how this is going to go into turn 1. Notoriously, in races that I have done before, turn 1 around here, oh dear. I mean, we could do a request a bet, to be honest. How many wing changes are going to be needed after lap 1? It could be, well, you see, 3 or more, to be honest. Yeah, that's how it goes. If anyone can let the drivers know that we can ready up, that would be greatly appreciated.
I'll get on it now.
Top man.
You can start.
Get your keys in ignition. Let's go racing.
The Americanization of Formula One. I'm surprised there's not somebody on the grid shouting,
Mr.
"Gentlemen,
Sindri.
start your engines."
Yes. Get your keys in the ignition. Oh, Sindri has changed his tyres.
Hey up, me duck.
So we'll get on the way in the next minute or so, as soon as someone clicks A. A couple of drivers at the back of the field with mediums on, but everyone at the top is all on the hard compound. Obviously, we've been told there's a bit of rain, haven't we, Joseph? That maybe this is the reason everyone's going to go hard and then just wait till the rain.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that does make strategic decisions a little bit boring, and they're never that exciting on the F1 22 game. Hopefully, obviously one of our wishes that we see more 2 stops, but 50% races, it's quite difficult for that to really be effective anyway. So we're just 15 seconds away here. Drivers have finally got the memo. A few words exchanged between Skither and Sindri, I'm seeing in the drivers' chat, but how will their exchanges go? Up towards the first corner here in Austin, Texas. Where here come the lights, and all 5 on now ahead of the drivers. And out, Salma runs away, and Nico went too soon. In fact, drive-through penalty for him, but Rusty, wheel-to-wheel with Skither up towards the first corner. Can the home hero make his home crowd roar? Yes, he can. Little bit of a nudge, bit of a slide on the exit, but Skither is through and up into the lead of the US Grand Prix. Wilson remains put in 3rd. Sindri stays in P4, and it was a clean exchange in the end between PSR and NRX. Joe Murphy remains in 5th, and Rusty, as he had a little bit of a moment here, the wheel-to-wheel. Wilson's around the outside, going through turn 7 and up through turn 7, 8 and 9 then, and another slide for Rusty, and Sindri down 2 positions as well. Joe Murphy up to 3rd. Maybe this championship isn't over as they duel it away into turn 11.
Cool, blimey, what a start for PSR, absolutely amazing. You'd have said that at the start, Mr. Christie probably doing a bit of engineering. It is like 4 wide here, down the straight they go. Yeah, it just looks like Wilson and Rusty came wheel to wheel a little bit. Oh, there's a Ferrari goes straight into the back there of Mr. Sindri, or was it Mr. Allison, who gets pushed very wide there indeed. But Mr. Skinner, P1, and someone's been hit there. Mr. Rain has gone right into Allison this time. Yes, he has. And Mr. Allison and Rain going to go 2 wide here. Bowman going to try and go up the inside of Rain, but can't do it. Who is that? It's Mr. Hilton. Bloody hell, Joseph, it's all happening.
I cannot believe this. So much smoke going down into turn 12 as drivers lock up and try to take avoiding action. Biggest winners on the opening lap. Stabby up into the points in P14, and wide goes Shazoo Wilson, who's the lone man like Stabby was last week in Monza, the fastest lap and the lead of the race for Skither, 9/10 over PSR Wilson. Joe Murphy up into P3, and as it stands, Rusty would only need P10. No, it would be P12 to secure the championship here this evening. So still a long way to go, and still very much on that Rusty wins the championship.
Been on board with Garcia here. It's a great overtake there on Bowman. He's chasing down Elton and goes through the S's here. But yeah, PSR 1-2, you've got Joe Murphy in P3. It looked like, it's hard to say without seeing it again, but yeah, Rusty and Wilson, it looked like Rusty went a little bit wide, squeezed Wilson, and then they went into the next corner and they just touched wheels. I don't think there was anyone really at fault. I think it was just racing. They were racing closely in a tight part of the track. Rusty had a bit of a wiggle because of the contact made, and then yeah, that was it. They dropped about 4 or 5 positions after a little bit of contact.
And Liam Bowman here to the left-hand side of car seat. And that was a very simple move in the end for Liam Bowman, still a lap away from DRS, and Stabby and Fine Waldo for TIR and FG respectively dispute a battle for P13. Nico, who served that drive-through penalty at the end of the opening lap, still 10 seconds off the back, but based on this racing in the midfield, there is no reason to give up just yet. Still so tight in there.
It's really, you've got a bit of a mixed up grid now. You would say Rusty and Sindri are going to try and work their way through Egger and Murphy before the pits, or maybe they can't. Maybe it's going to be a huge DRS train, but Joe Murphy looks like he's using a lot of DRS here to try and keep in the DRS range of Mr. PSR Wilson. 30% for him. Well, to be fair, if you look around, Joseph, everyone's using a lot of ERS. Mr. Egger, though, probably got the most out of the top 5 with 70%. Maybe he's sparing his time, waiting for the moment to strike. The DRS is now open, so these drivers in 9/10, they need to just make sure they're in it.
Egger in the championship hunt in WOR Tier 3, and last night the intermediate conditions, which is what we assume we might see this evening towards the end of the race. Egger stayed out on the hards. An unbelievable strategy call, which obviously failed. I think he assumed that one was going to dry up. I don't think that'll be the case this evening, as Stabby and Fine Wildo on the exit of turn 11. Stabby's gone the long way round by the looks of it, and he's back up into P13. This might be a very exciting and almost underrated battle to watch. 2 drivers at the moment on the medium tyres. Goodness knows if they'll go to any period of rain, but it's worth the try when you've got nothing really to lose in the championship.
I mean, if there's rain going to come, it's going to be either the clouds are going to be manufactured in seconds, or it's going to be literally last lap, because right now it's very, very sunny out there. You can see the blue skies. We don't really get that over here. But yes, Mr. PSR, Skinner and Wilson still leading the way, 1-2 at the moment, and you've got Joe Murphy in P3, Egger P4. Just check positions gained and positions lost. Rusty, the biggest loser so far. He's down 5 positions. Stabby gets the first penalty of... Actually, no, he's not. Mr. Sasha's already had a penalty. Down in P18. But yeah, Rusty loses the most positions. Stabby up 5 is the biggest gainer after the first few laps, Joseph.
Absolutely, and I think Egger has got a massive part to play here, and he probably doesn't realise it right now in the championship, because he's the one that might threaten to split this DRS train. It's now actually Joe Murphy dropping behind after a couple of moments in the first sector. But yeah, Egger, who would he prefer here, PSR or NRX? And as it stands, well, this championship gap could be next to nothing. So we'll see how the German behaves up in P4 at the moment. Still, I think, maybe at risk of a VSR qualifying ban next week, as they look to close down BRT. That's Joe Murphy in P3, Egger in P4, and all the top 4 teams in the championship represented in the top 6.
Just looking at ERS usage at the top, Wilson and Murphy have got absolutely nothing left after lap 4. Wilson has obviously tried to burn a bit and try and gap Murphy, and they've done that, and now they're in DRS. So PSR, you'd expect them to start clearing off a little bit and could be in the 2-second mark in the next couple of laps, to be honest. Just watching at the back of here between Raptor and Oz, a couple of positions up. The yellow flag though.
Right.
It's rain. It's rain. He's had a bit of a spin there. Doesn't dangerously enter, which is okay for him. So yeah, lap 5, it's all happening, but PSR 1-2 at the moment.
Absolutely, and going back to Monday night in the top tier championship, it was Skither and Smokey who went straight down the middle of all the chaos that unfolded and went on to dominate the next car by over 10 seconds. I'm not quite sure it will be a 10-second gap tonight. However, their first lap absolutely spot on, and that 1-2 very much looking likely. However, in the same car, the same pit garage, when it comes to those wet conditions, one driver might have to take the sacrifice of just waiting 2 or 3 extra seconds to be served, or maybe even staying out another lap. There's a massive opportunity cost when it comes to wet conditions, and being in the same team, it's just a problem of being so dominant at this stage.
Yeah, it's there's not really much they can do. If you've got 2 drivers on the same team who are the same speed and they have to go the same strategy, that double stop and double stacking is probably going to happen to PSR and NRX if it does get wet. They'll have to both go inters, or yeah, as you said, one of them will have to stick it out in the wet conditions. It will just be a bit of carnage, really. Any safety cars that happen, also double stacking can happen. But right now, PSR aren't thinking about that. They are thinking about trying to gap Mr. Murphy, and they are doing a very good job at it, and it's probably going to be about 2 seconds come the S's.
I'll tell you what, we've been baited. I've been baited, because I've passed it on to you. It's trial race.
I hate you.
No,
who told you it was wet?
You should hate Crispy.
I mean, he's had you off.
He's had me. He's absolutely had me. I think that's another point in the relegation fight, to be honest, if we're talking football terms. But I've already used the football references too much this evening.
Well done, Joseph. Back to the action. Sindri closing on Egger here. He really is. And is he going to be in range? Julian Egger will have DRS, but Sindri looking for a move, I think, on the straight here. Can he get it done? He hasn't really gained a position since the lap 1, to be honest. They've only lost positions. The ERS on for Sindri here. He turns it off again, though. Is he trying to get him on the slipstream? Mr. Egger trying to move over to the left-hand side, moves over to the back and the right. Is Sindri going to lunge it? Is he going to go fencing? Bit of a lunge, right up the inside. He does go fencing. Absolutely beautiful overtake there. Egger has got nothing to answer for there, and Sindri, what an overtake that was.
If it was an individual championship, he maybe would have weighed up that move and go, okay, I don't need to make it here. I'm still very much the champion. But NRX need the points now this evening. PSR very much 1-2, and I think Loveland in the chat was coming to terms with, yep, that might be it for this race. But there have been races, of course, where NRX have gone on to finish 1 and 2 comfortably, but PSR have been 3 and 4. NRX would like to target that this evening, because then the damage is limited. And as a neutral, it does very much give us a showpiece final 2 races of the season. Here goes Rusty down the inside of Egger. And, yeah, of course, it was Sindri making that first move. Rusty up next. And plenty of risk, plenty of reward.
Aggressive, but, you know, it's in the rule book. You know, didn't make any contact. Edgar, I'm not going to say Edgar made it easy for him, but he definitely didn't try and defend it as hard as other people might have done. So yeah, Mr. Rusty and Sindri navigate past Edgar and up into P4 and P5. Sindri just out of the DRS range of Murphy, but Rusty's right behind Sindri, and they're going to try and work together now to try and catch up to Mr. BRT Murphy. So he is currently 1.5 seconds behind the PSR boys, who have kept it as a 1-2 since lap 1. Oof.
They have, and look at Liam Bowman, 4 seconds behind the next car, really struggling, and I feel for him. Pad driver, very much a wheel-dependent circuit, and Hilton right on his tail, but overall, the battery state in this midfield still not great, so shouldn't panic too early, Liam Bowman, but it's those penalties he's got to watch out for. Another one, he could be at risk of dropping out the points completely.
Just cycling through the drivers here, just looking at ERS levels, everyone is pretty low, to be honest. I don't know if that's normal to be around COTA, but no one is harvesting. It's everyone just going flat out, trying to go as quick as they can. No tactics going on here, but yeah, Rusty now and Sindri almost in that 1 second of Joe Murphy, and you'll look to see if Sindri can nail the SST and maybe get into that 1 second of Joe Murphy, then they'll reel him in and work together like they did on Egger. Egger just hanging on to the back of Rusty now, probably won't be come DRS, but yeah, can Sindri get within 1 second of Joe Murphy, come the DRS detection point?
Very crucial that he does. Of course, Joe Murphy hasn't got that buffer in front of him, so if it wasn't this lap, it's not panic stations really for NRX Sindri. Flashing away is Joe Murphy. Just see on the onboard that light flashing as he's below 10%, 6% in fact, and this DRS for Sindri will give him a helping hand in having it permanently. By permanently, I mean for the next few laps while he tries to charge his battery and get close enough to make a move. Because that first sector, very, very difficult to follow someone if they have a twitch. It could be all over for you, because if you run straight into them, then yeah, say bye to your front wing.
I'm surprised PSR haven't pulled away as much as I thought. They've had DRS now between them for about four or five laps, and Joe Murphy has kept it within what? He's probably only lost about 5/10 since they've had DRS, so he's doing a good job there. Patrick losing a position. He's losing 2 positions there. Looks like, oh, is that Mr. Sashi Andre? Goes right up the inside. Now Patrick has the inside line. They're going to go too wide with a flat right hand. Oh, dearie me, this could be a bit of carnage here, but no, they judge it to perfection. Sashi around the outside. What a move that is. Beautiful.
Yep, carbon copy, I think, of 2018, where Hamilton and Verstappen went at it. Verstappen started last that day, recovered to finish on the podium, and that race ended Kimi Raikkonen's 114 race win drought. So maybe there's a good omen for somebody who's not yet won this season, or has gone a while without winning for their team, to come through and spark a miracle tonight. However, at this stage, lap 9 of 28, it has been relatively quiet since the opening lap chaos. Sindri now 6/10 behind Joe Murphy, looking in the next lap or two to get a move on.
Be interesting to see when they do it. Sindri didn't wait around for Egger, did he? And Mr. Bit of teamwork going on at the top there. I thought something happened, but no, Wilson, he wants to lead for a little bit. Maybe he's just going to try and let just going to harvest for a little bit. He's down to 10%, and bit of teamwork going on down at PSR. But yeah, Sindri now right on the back of the coattails of Joe Murphy. Rusty as well. Here, Egger has now been dropped a little bit by Rusty and Sindri. But coming up to lap 10, we've not really had that much movement since lap 1, to be honest, at the top of the field.
Nope, and that's one of the perks of COTA. It's not easy to make a move, but it's not impossible, and timing very much key. Liam Bowman, credit out of just out of 1 second now of Shazoo Ilton with that 3-second penalty to his name. It's crucial that he relieves that pressure from behind, and he's still going on that ERS. Stabby into the pit lane, then started on the medium tyres, will make a pretty early shift to the hards to complete the race here. He's running just in the points. Now we'll have a little bit of himself time to try and recover that lost ground.
I do think this is the lap where NRX Sindri will get Joe Murphy. He's got no protection now from any DRS, and Sindri's right in the back of him. This should be a pretty straightforward overtake for Mr. NRX Sindri. He's going to come up to it now. He is going to have the DRS. I don't think Rusty is close enough to get Joe Murphy on this lap, but Sindri is most definitely close enough to get him on this lap. DRS wide open now, and you can see he is gaining. Joe Murphy is not opting to defend this, and there's no ERS usage from Sindri. Maybe he's too far back on this one. I think he is a little bit too far back. Maybe Joe Murphy had a bit more reserves in the ERS tank, and Sindri has to sit behind him, it looks like, maybe for another lap.
Oh, that got very close indeed, going through turn 13, almost a little bit of a bump and run scenario. And Sindri, who, fair play to him on Monday night, finished 4th in an intense battle with one of his great rivals in TVA Arch will take on a Bunga Racing team driver tonight, and I'm sure maybe a little bit more casual respect between these two, but it's not going to stop them getting oh so close on the racetrack. We start lap 11 of 28, and Joe Murphy is absolutely level. No, he's not level on ERS. That was a bit of a visual glitch for me, but it's close. Joe Murphy starting to charge up again, leaving him a little bit less vulnerable, but I think the gap on the track speaks for itself.
Just quoting PVD, people that enjoy engineering the better line. I feel like the people who enjoy engineering are people who wish they were actually driving but aren't good enough. I'll fight anyone who argues that. Maybe commentating as well, to be honest. You could have a point if you put commentating. Genuinely good. Anyway, it's just the lap. Sindri gets Joe Murphy, so ERS on for him. Now he's going to harvest a little bit. Surely he's close enough this lap, and Rusty now waiting. Oh, goes wide Joe Murphy. Now that is definitely going to cost him. Maybe looking for a better exit. So here we go then. Sindri turns it on. This should be the lap he gets him, and I think it is going to be. Joe Murphy is not opting to defend this. He's just going to take it. I think Sindri's going to go the long way up the inside. He goes, and yeah, it's an overtake that he has got pretty easy. Mr. Rusty not close enough this lap. But yeah, now Sindri into the podiums.
Yeah, nice move there. One of the easier ones he will make, and doesn't take anything away from it, of course, because he's now going to start to play the team game and start backing him up into Rusty, and that could be game for the championship. A poor start from our pole sitter in the end. PSR coming through and now leading by 2.7 seconds relative to their closest rivals in the championship. I think a 1-2 versus a 3-4, if I have a peek at the standings, is around a 17-point shift. And with the pole position, cancel out with the fastest lap. Yes, we'll say 17 points. So that gap as it stands, if Rusty gets past, reduces to just 12. There is a lot on the line here, and so Sindri might not be thinking about those in front of him, but rather getting Rusty through as well.
So is this the lap Rusty gets Joe Murphy? Once again, ERS levels pretty identical, not really going to help him. Sasha is into the pits, onto the hard tyre now after starting on the mediums. I don't really think he's going to undercut many people. He was at the back, near the back anyway. But yeah, hard runners, when do you reckon? Is it lap 14, 15, something like that? Or maybe a little bit earlier, later? I would say about lap 14. Maybe 14.
Yeah. Yeah, 50-50. Yeah.
Let's see. We shall see. Sindri, 3 seconds behind Skinner now, and Rusty right in the back. It's all close here, isn't it? It's very close. Not much overtaking opportunities at the moment between Joe Murphy and Sindri, because it's just so close. Let's see how this unfolds.
Let's talk about Liam Bowman again. It feels like I'm going back to him quite a lot, but he's had his Weetabix. What on it? He looked down and out with a 3-second penalty, and now he's extended 3 seconds to Shazoo Hilton on a pad as well, where you might argue would have been struggling, and that's Ogween, who's had a spin, the second victim of the triple right of turn 16, 17 and 18. That's at turn 70. That looked like the very middle of the corner, so strange to go around there. There might have been contact. Oz trying to get through at God knows what time in the morning, 5 o'clock. And you can tell by his lag that that's not going to be fun for Ogween to try and compete with.
Yeah, no, Ogween just lost it there, but yeah, I don't know if there was any contact or whatnot. But yeah, you can't part there, Mr. Oggers, who did win in Tier 1 last season in AEC Tier 1, so there's not many that have won Tier S in Tier 1, and he's now racing in Tier S. Maybe he can one day, but right now, P14, he's not going to be challenging the top of the field. Top of the field, PSR, Wilson and Skinner still 1-2. They have been 1-2 for the whole race, all 13 laps, apart from the start, where he didn't qualify P1. It was Mr. Rusty who did, but he dropped a few positions after a bit of contact that was made between him and Wilson. We believe it was just racing, nothing intentional or whatnot, but there's a move done here by Rusty. Up the inside it goes to Joe Murphy. And Mr. Joseph, that is a move for the NRX boys. Once they did it on Egger, they now do it on Joe.
Yep, it's a move that limits the damage in the teams, but also the move that could, well, crown him as the driver's champion, barring any spin on the final lap. Wow, what a race that was last week in Monza. Ogween now back up ahead of Patrick Leggett, and into the second points-paying position. 2 points for TVA Ogween as it stands. Raptor at his home Grand Prix in P12, having a very much lonely race. 5 seconds to his teammate Rain, 3.5 behind to TVA Ogween, but double points is certainly more than acceptable for future racing team. It's quieting down now. The NRX are back up into third and fourth, having started first and fourth.
In the middle of the field here, you've got Carty on the back of Ilton, Fart Rain as well. Fart Rain. Mr. Rain on the back of Carty. Come to the S's here. Is Carty going to be able to get Ilton this lap? He might be able to. Mr. Bowman with that penalty. The only person with a penalty in the top 16. People are doing well not to get penalties, but that penalty for Bowman, if there's a safety car or whatnot, could help him massive. Well, it could really detrimental to his course. But yeah, Carty, Joseph with DRS, could he get him this lap?
Let's see. And on board with the Northern Irishman, 40% battery compared to Shizou Ilton's 20, so still not at the risk of losing performance because they're too low on it. He's a long way back, and I think he's realised that Ilton's starting to panic, starting to get a bit defensive using that battery, and so will save himself for the next lap.
So here we go then, Carty, is he going to go for it here? Oh my goodness me, it's very close indeed, maybe too close for the likelihood of Ilton there. You could probably see him in his wing mirrors, but yeah, Carty very close to the back of Ilton. You've got Rain in here as well. Looking at the top, looks like Sindri has lost a bit of time to his skin. 4.4 seconds now, those boys at the top. Nico going for a move on the Stabby here, goes right up the inside of him. Stabby trying to defend it. Mr. Allison has pit, but yeah, Stabby and Nico going too wide. Good move there.
Absolutely, and I tell you what, Liam Bowman, people saying he's the fastest driver out there on track. Yeah, he's certainly within a couple of tenths of those around him, as we've now got Allison into the pit lane on lap 14, as with FRT Rain. So your prediction there, spot on. Undercuts for the two drivers respectively, and I think for Rain that was very much appropriate because of the traffic. He started to get himself into TVA Allison as well, now flying the flag for Valor. See who responds on this lap.
So yeah, this is where the pit window has opened for these drivers. Wilson and Skinner, you'd expect one of them to come in as well. Same with Sindri and Rusty, you'd expect one of those drivers to come into the pit. If there's a safety car though, you know, it could all change things right now. It would cause carnage, really, wouldn't it? It would cause absolutely carnage because you'd have double stacks galore at the top of the field. Edgar Bowman also. So let's see how this unfolds. We're now over halfway through the race, and yeah, Wilson and Skinner, surely one of them comes in this lap.
Who gets first choice? Well, usually it's the driver out in front, but Wilson might well go, you know what, you go in. And nope, both of them stay out. what an anticlimactic
oh, we've got movement. Rusty's in, Joseph. Rusty is in.
He is. And is this an undercut attempt on his teammate? I don't think so. But certainly one that just responds to Joe Murphy behind and just sees them over the line in 3 and 4, because I think still more admission that they're not going to catch PSR this evening. The damage has been done. A few little hold-ups in the background there for one of the Hasses of Ilton. I believe one of the Alfa Romeos of Carty. So as they filter back out, Rusty stays in P5. He's got a lovely bit of clean air in front of him. Ogween, who stayed out there on the hard side, so as Joe Murphy on Cole Beaton's in front of him. Don't rule out a bit of a surprise move here or any mistakes from those that have emerged from the pit lane.
Yeah, it's everyone on cold tyres now. Hopefully everyone's doing all right out there, but yeah, Rusty now up into P5 net. What is he? Still got drives to pit, probably net P3, P4, because he might undercut Sindri as well. So surely this is the lap one of the PSR boys comes in. They don't want to get undercut too much. If Rusty, I don't think he was close enough, to be honest. He's about 4 or 5 seconds behind them. But they've got to be thinking about one of them coming in this lap. I assume hard soft is non-negotiable. That's not possible.
Well, if you're stupid, then maybe.
All right.
But I don't think anybody here is stupid. Skither into the pit lane, then you can cut that inside as long as you're not all 4 wheels over, very well defined in the track notes. And Sindri also heading into the pit lane as well. No speeding penalties thus far as well, and it's very easy to get caught out. Can be a bit blind, that pit line, as you sort of rise up to where you have to slow down, and medium tyres going on, as you'd expect for those that have come in.
So, how much did Rusty catch up to the back of Skinner? He's on his way out the pits now, comes to the first corner. Allison sets the fastest lap. But Rusty now could just see Skinner coming out of the pit lane. It was about 5 seconds. The gap is now just under 4 seconds. So he gained about a second-ish. Yeah, Wilson's got to come in this lap. You're going to have Skinner leading the race. But Rusty now, after his little incident that he had at the start, is net P2. If Wilson undercuts him. If he undercuts Wilson, I should say.
Indeed, still a long way back. At this stage, 24 seconds separating Wilson and Rusty. You lose about 20 in the pit lane. If I was to just throw a round number, and it's anywhere near. At the moment, Joe Murphy had the opportunity to make a move on Sindri. He was down his inside at turn 1, but I think thought better of it. His teammate down in P12 now outscoring VSR as it stands. And that is the fight for P3 in the championship.
Look at Bowman has absolutely lunged one there on Ogween. Jesus Lord, that was from far back. But Ogween trying to defend it back on him, and Bowman has somehow come round him. God blimey.
Wow, a bit of contact as well there on the exit. And I'll tell you what, Liam Bowman does like a rage. And if a driver on 16 lap Old Hards had spun him around there, I could not imagine the fury in his voice after that one. Egger next up, another Visceral Racing driver behind him, and he's flashing away. Egger cuts the corner quite obviously, going into turn 20, and so will be at a bit of a disadvantage now. 3.7 seconds behind to FRT Rain, so won't make a difference if he completes this move nice and early, but he's had to go the long way round here on TVA. Ogween will turn into the inside for the second corner, and overall Egger gets the job done.
Fair play, some good overtaking here, lads. Honestly, this is cracking. Some really good moves, and it's clean. That's the thing. That's the most important thing. They're all clean overtakes. They might be a little bit aggressive, but hey, nothing overboard, nothing out of the rule books. So 10 laps to go. PSR still in 1-2. Will he stay 1-2 come the end of the race? You'd expect, as long as nothing stupid happens or anything that causes that to happen, you know, they should be bringing this home. 10 laps to go. It's comfortable at the moment. Keyword is at the moment.
Yeah, I don't think it ends there, because PSR would quite like to order their cars coming across the line. Skither's in P4 in the Drivers' Championship. PSR Wilson down in P20. So obviously there's a lot more on the line for Skither if he targets second in the championship. Joe Murphy is 26 points ahead in that fight, and as it stands, the points difference would be, if I get this right, 16. So it gains a bit, and it's a fastest lap as well for Skithers to make that 17. But if it stays as it is, like I say, Skither moves into third in the Drivers' Championship. Levi dropping into P4, and he's watching on this evening, giving some advice, giving his thoughts on this one as well. Into the pits comes Ogween, a long overdue pit stop.
We had a few more drivers coming to the pits. Yeah, Ogween is in now. Someone else that just came in, Mr. Nico, obviously comes back out in last. And Joe Murphy gets a penalty. It's not going to cost them at the moment, but could do come the end of the race. He's the first driver in the top 5 to pick up one. I will check warnings on the top lads in a second. But something catching my eye is Rusty he's kind of, I'm trying to make something out of nothing here, but I was going to say he's closing the gap, but it's not really happening. I was just trying to make a bit of entertainment, Joseph, to be honest.
Yep, and a bit more entertainment as Wilson pulls ahead of Skither in a battle that could long go to the end of this race with inverting every single lap. That would be funny. Sindri on the back of Rusty now as well, and they know Joe Murphy behind. They've covered him off excellently. Great bit of strategy work to maybe limit the damage in this one. 3.7 seconds behind to Allison, so he's got to watch his eyes on that gap. The DRS to the NRX drivers in front of him will do him a massive favour. Further back, Liam Bowman and Egger both carrying 3-second penalties. FRT Rain 5.5 seconds behind. So for them, they can just stick to TVA Allison. Maybe put him under a little bit of pressure because they can afford to with the gap they've got. And yeah, we're just back in that phase again, that management phase.
Certainly are. So 9 laps to go, just started the 20th lap. Are PSR going to bring this 1-2 home? I know we said this since the start, really. They got it at the start, that's what happened. And if they do, they have managed this race to perfection, to be honest with you, if they manage to do it. Wilson and Skinner, teamwork. This is personified, I think that's the word that you want to be looking for. That is what they've done. But Rusty and Sindri worked their way through a couple of drivers. They worked their way through Egger, then Murphy, and they've done a good job. Can they close the gap though? I don't know if they can, but let's see. No, Cod, no.
It might be too late now, in all honesty. But McLaren 1 and 2. Illegal Engine says Loveland. Well, that 2021 McLaren was a beast in a straight line. 2022 and into 2023, it's a piece of shit, really, isn't it? I hate to be, rude to any McLaren fans because, unfortunately, that's just the way it is. Give us a fact. Give us a fact. What do I have?
Who's favourite to be Leicester's new manager? There you go. Quick fact, go.
Rafa Benitez. So that's going to be a good laugh, isn't it?
That is going to be a good laugh. He still lives in Liverpool, to be honest. We've got movement happening between Stabby, as we're talking about Mr. Rafa Benitez, the fat Spanish waiter. Mr. Ogween trying to go up the inside of Mr. Stabby if he can. He's flashing. Stabby is. You don't want to be flashing, Also, and Joe Murphy back up to the top. Someone's happened. Sindri.
Oh.
Oh.
No, you've gone. You've gone.
I've gone. Invite me quick. Invite me quick.
Yeah.
Thank you. I got all excited then. The game was like, oh, something's happened. And, oh no, it hasn't.
I was gonna say.
I got excited.
Oh, something has happened. It's Stabby.
Oh, well,
Stabby has got around down in P18, and that is a shame because that could put an end to any chance he had at points this evening. Liam Bowman on TVA Allison is a real battle that is happening. Down the inside goes Liam Bowman. He's up into P6 on the racetrack, but with that 3-second penalty, he stays in P7 as it stands. But Liam Bowman's progress throughout this race after a difficult start. I believe he was tagged at one point as well. What a comeback he has been, and very much a candidate for the unofficial driver of the day.
I am back, everyone. I have no idea what happened. Ali, it's such a great game, isn't it? I thought something... oh well, it is what it is. Yes, still the gap though, 4.3 seconds. They've not been able to catch them, have they? They just haven't been able to do it. Happening at the back though, we've got Sasha and Uggers going too wide. Oh, they're trying to go too wide. Hopefully this does not end in tears. It might do. Sasha's now going to have the inside line, but surely backs out of it, does back out of it, and Ogween gets the move done. Mr. Sasha Andre, we'll rephrase that. Ogween is on a bender, Sasha Andre is a track extender, as I like to say.
Very good. Big fan of that one. Through the triple right again. It's not the first time we've been speaking about a move there this evening. Right, what's going on at NRX? Well, there's been a bit of a drift coming out of turn 11 for NRX Sindri, and he stays about half a second behind his teammate and half a second in front of Joe Murphy. Unfortunately, the penalties for me have just sort of killed this one off with regards to on-track battling. And it's a shame because when the battles have been there, they've been brilliant and they've been clean. So I think the stewards might have a nice evening. Hopefully that's not a jinx.
I put penalties on the screen for everyone. Mr. Allison is going to, if he can catch up a little bit, we'll have Joe Murphy's P5 as well. Currently 5 seconds behind him, so we need to get his his racing boots on, but we'll have Bowman on penalties right now. Egger is not going to lose a position for that, and Murphy at the moment doesn't lose a position. So people with penalties at the moment, Joseph, aren't going to lose that many positions.
Yeah, with thanks to the big gaps, for example, Egger to Rain, 6 seconds at the moment, under pressure from Ilton, and there's people crying in the chat, ERS! ERS! He's got nothing.
I'll tell you who has something now, Mr. Skinner does. He's on 60%, Joseph. Look at him. He is flying. Rusty down on 25. Stonks, I'll try and give you a quick brief. So Rusty got pole position. Wilson was P2. Or was he P3? I can't quite remember. Anyway, he was just behind him. There was a little bit... there was barely any contact, but there was slight contact. Skinner went through both of them. And then Rusty lost a little bit of traction. And like 4 or 5 cars went past him. So, yes, it's a legit 1-2, however, there was a slight bit of contact that caused them to drop a few positions. That's what it was.
Yeah. And Loveland and Cam rightly discussing the gap in the championship. We believe that's... who's got the fastest lap at the moment? Yeah, Wilson. So, 18 point? No, 17, because it cancels out with the pole point. That's what I said earlier, isn't it? So, we're talking a 12-point gap. The NRX lead by going into the final 2 races of the season. And we've got a battle between Patrick Leger and Sasha Andre. Not the first time we've seen a Red Bull and Mercedes go at it this evening, let alone the last few years gone by in Formula 1. And both of them on penalties. Sasha 6 seconds, and Sasha with a bit of a drift coming through turn 13 and 14 through 15. And yeah, SLR Oz done well to hang on to this train despite qualifying last. Abby's gone around again. He's promoted into P18.
That was a really enthusiastic spin there for Stabby. So yeah, Stabby, he's not having the greatest race this time. Last week he was fan favourite. I think he got driver of the day. Well, I just said he was driver of the day. But yeah, the gap between NRX and PSR is not coming down. It's gaining between PSR, to be honest. It's getting extended 5.3 seconds now. The gap, you'd say PSR's got this.
I think they've had it since lap 1. In hindsight, yeah, their gap was just too big when the DRS was enabled. That's Sindri getting ahead of Rusty for an overtake that means really nothing. I could talk about, that actually only limits Rusty's gap in the championship to 82 points rather than 81. But it means nothing. Sindri up into P3. Rusty just can do a little bit of the defensive work. Both of them are well-charged batteries relative to Joe Murphy, who's dipping below 10% consistently.
There's your ERS and wasn't it? Sindri and Rusty both above 25%, just chilling now with Joe Murphy in behind them, but does have that penalty. And Allison, he is catching Murphy, to be honest. It's 4.6 seconds now, so if he can get within 3 seconds, he'll have P5, Mr. Allison. Let's see how that unfolds. Just quick over to tyres. Is anyone on different strategies? You've got Stabby on softs. Maybe go for fast lap. Maybe. He's not going to get the point for it, but he's going for it anyway. Oz has left the session. I hope that's not me this time.
His AI's pit. Oh no, that's a shame. Nobody wants to see that. That unfortunately is race over. I'll give him an invite back, but maybe he's off back to bed. Working on a European time zone for the sake of tournament racing is crazy. Oceanic leagues used to be a lot more popular, especially with Marduk and New Zealand Ryan. I used to really love watching those league racing videos back in the day, but nowadays the options are a lot more limited. That's a fact.
4 AM to lag out.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Maybe NRX are just chilling here. The gap is going again. Oz has now joined.
Fair play.
I wonder if he's going to go to bed after this.
Well, he might just be awake. He might have a 6 o'clock start at work. I don't know his age, what he does for a living, but it might be worth asking in a wrong way.
They are chilling. They are chilling. I know that's how chilling. I've got Angry Murphy in behind them. Hopefully there's a bit of action, to be honest. But Murphy does have that penalty. You know, he might want to get his nose in the mix a bit. He might. Who knows? Who knows? 2.5 laps to go-ish. Could be how the top 4 finishes.
Wouldn't be surprised unless Skither wins in front of his home crowd and they coordinate a nice moment for him. Be the second time this week he's finished runner-up in COTA. Sindri and Rusty still maybe have a swap coming up as well, but whatever it is, it feels like this might be our, I think, third NRX PSR occupied top 4 of the season. Hang on a minute, Egger's making a move. Yes, we've got an overtaken down the inside. Goes the German on Allison, and both of them, as it stands at Visceral Racing, lose that position on penalties. But why not? If he spins, you know, you've got a P6 and 7 secured. Just like that, it is absolutely worth going for that move.
Just watching Elton and Rain there. Rain cuts across and Elton had nowhere to go. Egger again battling with Allison, and Allison gets the move done there. They're flashing now. No one's got an ERS to play with, and Allison just out of the 1 second of Bowman. So Egger will have him on the penultimate lap. You'd think so when the DRS opens, and DRS is opening now. It opens now. Egger now closing on to run down to turn 1. Is Egger going to launch it? Is he going to launch it up the inside? He's going to peel to the left, goes up the inside of him and goes late on the brakes. Allison goes for a bit of a switchback. Oh, hello. That is sexy, but Egger's like, no, mate, you're not having the switchback, you're not having the highlight reel. And there's contact. Oh, my goodness me. There's contact. And Mr. Allison going to try and switch back through the S's. Oh, my good, Joseph. Goodness me.
This is entirely planned now, because Egger parking it on the apexes to try and give Liam Bowman that 3-second gap that he needs. They could finish 6-7. Well, they would have finished either 7-8, but now they're on for a 6-8, which is, well, without a doubt, better than it was before. And now 2.7 seconds the gap, because Egger is not giving Allison a chance here, and he'll defend the middle of the circuit. Allison opts for the outside. Egger, will he try and lunge it back up the inside? Of course he will. Oh, no, he won't. But he'll have another chance on the final lap of the race to get Allison out of 3 seconds of Liam Bowman.
Bit of a move under Ailton. Rain has been overtaken there, but yeah, Egger did some good work there. He kept it. Oh, the gap has increased between Allison and Bowman, but it's not quite out the 3 seconds. It's going to be very nip and tuck come the final lap here, and that final lap has started. PSR still 1-2. They have absolutely dominated this race since lap 1. Fair play to them if they bring it home.
Fair play is the term I'd use, and they've responded superbly this evening. However, Egger up towards turn 1, and he's getting very close to Allison, but on his own accord, he's now dropping just outside of that 3-second window. He's still got 3.3 more seconds behind, has VSR Egger to play with in terms of holding up Allison. Everything he did on that previous lap was fair and, you know, well within the rules. He's defending position, but this time it's Allison in front. He's not slowing down because he's got to push to try and secure P6 here for Team Valor. And Egger will have the DRS, but Skither has the DRS. Doesn't overtake Wilson for a home Grand Prix victory. That's what we were waiting for. That's not happened. Rusty also gaining, but Rusty will not finish on the podium on a day where he could be crowned the Artemis Esports champion. And here goes Egger to try and hold up TVA Allison. There he goes. And I think he's got the move secure, with Allison going the long way around at turn number 13. Egger holds on now. The gap is wide enough for Egger to sit back and not do anything more. Meanwhile, PSR Wilson takes victory at the Circuit of the Americas, with Skither coming home in P2. Sindri taking a first podium for NRX this season. His teammate Rusty follows him to become the Artemis Esports Tier S Drivers Champion in superb style. He didn't need to do a lot this evening. but his performance very good as ever, taking pole position. Poor start, made up for it, and they've limited the damage overall, and that will be the main cause of concern. The gap that is now 12 points to PSR, NRX third and fourth, with a PSR 1-2.
Fair play, what a race. PSR, yeah, they got the lead at the start and they've held it from start to finish. You can't really argue with that race for them. It's probably a bit boring, but hey, you got the 1-2. You take that every day of the week, wouldn't you, if you were PSR Wilson and Skinner, but good racing from everyone. There wasn't many collisions, to be honest. I doubt there'll be many tickets sent in, maybe less than 3, to be honest. I didn't see any. Did you see anything, Joseph, that was ticket worthy?
Few complaints here and there, but perhaps just battles we weren't able to see on the main feed as other stuff was going on. That one, you can get a bit blinded by that rise up into turn 1, elevation change of about 30 meters, so easy to miss something. However, I enjoyed that. That was very good, and we've got a brilliant teams championship on our hands. It'd be great to hear a word or two from our drivers champion.
Yeah, if you want to get them in, we'll do some interviewing. What's everyone in the chat saying? Christmas in, yeah, wasn't sure if we would win till those last couple of... Yeah, it was close. It was close. Hung on in the end. Fair play. Let's get them in. Let's get them in as they start joining. Where are we next week, Joseph? Where is it next week?
Oh, I'll take a look. It is Brazil.
Ooh.
Let's invite our top 2 teams, because what could possibly go wrong?
But there's the classifications. I'll just scroll down, otherwise JT will shout at me. He'll shout if I don't. There we go. JT can't shout at me. There's the classifications. There's the timings. All that jazz. Yeah, that's true. Why is he? Now, well, there's a reason for he's here. There is a reason. Get out, man. Yeah, so if you want to include your audio files, we'll wait on Mr. Wilson and if they want to pop in.
Maybe they're deterred now that you're here. I don't know. We'll soon see. I've been put into another thing. That's not great. Oh, and another session. That's, oh God, get me out.
I mean, my race ended on lap 18.
I had that in NRC at Saudi Arabia. I don't know how that glitch happens. Should we get started?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's get started. Right, Rusty, you've done it. And you failed to last week, but you've done it tonight. But I think the most important thing is that gap to PSR, and that third and fourth finish perhaps less than ideal tonight.
Yeah, lap 1 wasn't most ideal, that's all I can say. However, even if I think lap 1 didn't happen, DSR's pace was far better than ours, and once they were ahead, that was it. So it was just damage limitation from there, hoping to get the maximum from what we had.
Yeah, absolutely. And plan now for the final couple of races. Just, put the practice into races.
Yeah, we just got to aim for the most points possible can. Obviously, it's gonna be hard, but we're gonna try our best. It's been a long season. We've pulled out great results prior, so I don't see why we can't pull out the best points possible in these last 2 races.
Absolutely. Tom, over to you.
Yeah, just a quick one on Rusty. Just a little bit of contact between you and Wilson. I assume it was nothing. It didn't look like anything overly serious, but it just lost you a little bit of traction. And was it about 4 or 5 positions you lost on lap 1? So fair play for catching them back up. Yeah, it's injury. Probably the best teamwork I've seen from a team today from you two, to be honest. Qualifying, and then during the race you worked your way through Egger, and then through Joe Murphy. So, yeah, Sindri, just take us through your race, mate. But as a whole, fair play, good teamwork.
Well, obviously quali did PBs both banker and second lap, and then I absolute shafted my second one. That probably would have put me about second. Absolute panic going into the final sector, being a 10th up, doing my usual bottle. And lap one, absolute disaster. A bit of contact between Wilson and Rusty, so I thought Kettle's gonna spin, and now I'm gonna have to avoid it. So I swerved off a little early, and I fell down to about, I think it was 6th, 7th, one of them, and then it was just all about no warnings, no collisions, and then just getting through. And then obviously me and Kettle working together to get through them all.
Yeah, you did work together. PSR obviously working together as well, and that someone said in the chat, and I'll quote it if I can. It was like saying the top four are a cut above the rest, and yeah, you were today. And yeah, once again, Rusty, congratulations on your championship, and
Thank you.
we'll look forward to doing commentary on your races in the future. I don't think the PSR boys are joining, Joseph.
No,
I don't think they will.
so. Maybe. Yeah, I
Just
I
don't
don't
like
know. No, mate, the rivalry runs deeper. Goodness me.
Maybe they need to leave the
They're doing a boycott.
A boycott.
Boycott. Oh my god, it's like match of the
next
day
Red
all
Bull.
over again.
No, it's like Red Bull. You're the Ted Kravitz.
No, I think we're good to wrap up, Joseph, mate. I think we are.
Yeah. Well, we're in Brazil next week, as I said, and what is now, I think, 13-point gap in the championship. It's just crazy how it's been so close all season. And that could be, it could be decided there and then. It's not possible, but I think this will go right down to the wire in a couple of weeks' time in Abu Dhabi, and what a venue to do it as. We've got a very traditional last couple of races to come.
Yeah, they aren't joining. So that'll be it. Joseph and Loveland, if Loveland is fit enough. I don't know what he was doing today, to be honest. I came in last substitution. But yeah, it should be Loveland back. I'll be back on placement. So that'll be good. Brazil, Loveland and Joseph. 7 o'clock, Thursday. Happy days. Yeah, that is it. We shall catch you next week.